Hello, everyone. Welcome to 6 Minute Stories. My name's Thomas Guerra. I'm with F Fentanyl. And welcome, everybody. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. I do want to welcome everybody that's live right now on YouTube, Facebook. If you are watching right now, please reshare this on your social media. You could go to the share button on the links and reshare it so you get this out to as many folks as possible. You'll also be able to watch it on the replay and you can share it then. But just share. We want as many people as possible to check in with us. We got a bunch of speakers that are lined up ready to speak. Um, we may have opportunity for a couple more speakers, right? I see some people have not jumped in yet. We have about 6 or 7 speakers. So if you're interested in speaking, write that in the chat and I'll send you the link so you can jump on as well. Um, in the meantime, I do want to share why we're here, right? Well, the main reason we're here today is National Recovery Month, right? This month of September is Recovery Month and is basically observed. It's a time to raise awareness about substance use disorder recovery and celebrate the achievements of those in recovery and encourage others to seek recovery. And today is actually September 30th, which is International Recovery Day, right? So we also are super excited about that. Celebrated every year on September 30th is dedicated to promoting recovery efforts worldwide, right? And we got a treat today because we got John Winslow from International Recovery Day, and he could kind of share a little bit about that. Just before we get to that, I do want to share some announcements, some stuff we got going on. Um, Please check out Recovery Ally Training. We actually did this last week. You can see the replay of this on YouTube. This is a great resource that you can share with people that are new to recovery or families that are new to recovery, and they can learn a little bit about how to help a loved one and how to be less stigmatizing. That's located on our YouTube channel and our Facebook channel. We also have what's coming up. For those of you that are located in the Miami area, I want to share this with you. We are doing Recovery and Remembrance Day with the Miami Heat on January 17th. We're going to have tons of tickets in all the different areas in the 100 section, the 300 section, the 400 section. So keep an eye out for that. Last year, we had a great turnout. We had Darren Prince come share his story. And so we're going to do it again this year. And if you're here in November, please check us out. We have Recovery at the Park, where people are going to be able to share about their recovery journeys as well, music and fellowship. We're looking forward to that as well. Okay, and I think that is it. Okay, last but not least, please follow us on and subscribe on YouTube so that way you can catch all these events. If you miss one, you can catch it later and watch it and share it with your friends and family. And then if you'd like to support our mission at Fentanyl, which is to save lives through harm reduction, overdose prevention, and helping people find recovery, you can go to the link here and make that donation. All right. So now I'd like to welcome our first speaker, um, and he is all the way from Virginia. I'm going to put the timer right on the clock. Before I start, real quick, for those of you that are joining us, right? Uh, Here's what we're doing. We're giving all our speakers 6 minutes on the dot to share their recovery stories. We're going to put the timer on the screen so that people can follow and not go over. And so anything's open to share what your recovery pathway, how you got into recovery, and why you're here. So, without further ado, I'm gonna introduce John. Let me get you off mute here, and let me single out John here. There we go. John, I'm gonna put 6 minutes on the clock there, and you can get started right away. John. John, can you see me? Why is the sound not working? There's no audio on your end. I'm not sure what's going on.
Okay, because we had
There
muted earlier. You can hear me now?
I can hear you now. There we go.
Okay, so I'm going to have to talk a little faster to catch
No,
myself
you're good.
up.
I'm gonna give you right at the beginning again. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, let me kick it off again. By thanking you, Thomas, for putting this together, and as it would happen that it's coinciding with the last day of National Recovery Month, which is now simply Recovery Month because there are more and more countries around the globe that are participating in Recovery Month, and the last day of the month, which happens to be International Recovery Day. So I think it's really fabulous that you're putting this on. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me as a guest and the other guests that are going to be on this evening. And so my name's John Winslow. I'm a person in long-term recovery, which for me means that I haven't found it necessary to use alcohol or any other mind-changing, mood-altering addictive substances since January 21st, 1976, which I'm not good at math, so I'll help you out with that. It puts me at this point, about 4 months shy of celebrating 50 years of continuous recovery. So in other words, I've really had a lifetime of recovery. And so let me just give a little backstory to that. Came from a middle class family in growing up in Maryland, and in my early teens began to experiment first with inhalants with glue. I was introduced by the guy that taught me how to play guitar. He also taught me how to huff glue, and so that was my starting point. And I found out for 15 cents I could change just about everything in my world. And from there, in a few years, discovered alcohol, and my exposure to alcohol and other substances was just so transformative. It was like a magical, mystical experience that I went from a shy, very introverted person with low self-esteem and no confidence to I got that jump juice or other substances in me, and it just transformed who I was and how I was and how I felt about myself and how I interacted with the world. And so when I look back on my early experience with alcohol and other substances and the way I felt before using, and then what I found out that how it could make me feel, I think I would have been crazy not to continue doing what I was doing. As you know, as I continued to use, by my late teens, I was using addictively, although I would not have been able to identify that at the time. But I got married early. I was a child of the 60s, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Ended up getting married early, having a child when I was 20 years old. And by the time I was 26, I was just a rip-roaring alcoholic and drug addict. I was blessed by having a head-on collision when I had just turned 26 years old. I had already had 2 treatment experiences. I found myself in an excellent treatment program where I learned about alcoholism and I learned about how to treat alcoholism. I found out who and what I was. One of the basic things that I learned was that I was a child of God and that God doesn't make junk. And so that was the premise that I started with, that I wasn't a bad person that needed to get good. I was a sick person that needed to get well. And I took to it like a fish taken to water. I had been, I was given the gift of desperation as a young man, and through that rebuilt my life. And rather than continuing to be part of the problem, I was able to, through the transformative process of recovery, to be part of the solution. I went back to school. I had been a high school graduate, went on to school, ended up with a master's degree, started a couple businesses, and worked in the treatment field for many years. I'm now retired. But one of the things I'm really passionate about is recovery advocacy. And so through a variety of circumstances, ended up founding this organization, International Recovery Day. And Thomas has some information about that. That it shifts the language and the focus from the ravages of addiction over to the hope and the help that is offered through a variety of pathways. That there's no one right or wrong way for people to get into recovery. So there's, with all the addictions, with all the recovery pathways, we can all on the same day, all around the world, show the world that we can and do recover from addiction. And so that's my message, that, I trust that the others that are going to be speaking here today are going to be focusing that on well. We bring to the world a message that help and hope is available. All you got to do is want it, reach out for help, and there will be a number of hands that are going to reach back to you and offer their help and support in a loving, trusted, sacred kind of a way to guide you to a new way of being in the world. So thanks again for the opportunity to share with you. And I'm gonna stop early with 5 seconds to go.
All right. Thanks so much, John. Great message. Great message. All right. Right on time. See if you can keep up with that, Jackie. Can you do it right on time? Jackie's up next. I'm gonna let you introduce yourself. Make sure you I'm gonna unmute you, but I think there's a mute on your end too. So I'm gonna make sure. There we go. And just put the timer on.
Awesome.
All yours.
Thank you so much, Tommy, for doing this. This is amazing. My name is Jackie, and my sobriety date is May 15th, 2012. And it's kind of funny because before I found recovery, alcoholism or my drinking was my biggest secret. And now I consider my recovery my superpower. And I'm humbled and honored to be here. And I'm really glad that you guys are doing this, that we get to share the joys of recovery. So I grew up in Wichita, Kansas, and I always like to joke, like, if you grew up in Wichita, there's nothing to do. So of course you would drink as well. And it's funny because, like, people that don't have a problem with drugs or alcohol don't drink like excessively like I did. But anyway, I drank every day, every night. Well, every night I knew I'd have like 2 bottles of wine to like get over what I was going through. And honestly, it was right around the time I was in perimenopause, when my hormones were all out of whack, that alcohol just was not working for me. And I spoke to one of my girlfriends in Tampa. I live in Miami, Florida. But I spoke to one of my girlfriends who had been in a 12-step recovery program before. She left, was out drinking for 7 years, and then she confided in me and said she was thinking about going back into recovery. I'm like, if you do this, let me know. So Mother's Day weekend, 2012, my phone was ringing off the hook from her. And Tuesday, May 15th, I finally picked up the phone, and she told me that she went to a meeting. So I found one, and it has literally changed my life. I work in the medical field. I had no idea I could do my job without alcohol. And a woman at the meeting, she was this big, huge physician in a different disease state that I worked in. But she was like one of these physicians that I would take out and entertain. And she gave me her business card and her cell phone. And she's like, Jackie, call me anytime if you have any questions. And I literally felt like I feel like that she is like a gift from God and an angel in my life, because she gave me hope that very first day that I came in, that I could do hard things and do things in recovery. And let me tell you, I've done a lot. Now I get to travel. I get to remember all the places I go. I get to go to concerts. I get to remember concerts. And also, like recovery isn't all beautiful and amazing. I wish it was. But hard things happen in life. And I have been through some very devastating things. My stepfather and my stepmother have both passed away. My brother had a really scary incident happen, and we almost lost him early on in my recovery. And I have to say, like before I found recovery, I didn't know how I could get through anything without drinking alcohol. And now, fast forward, and I'm 13 years in recovery. Now I can't imagine going through any of those hard times with alcohol in my system. So if you or someone you know is thinking that you might have a problem with drinking, reach out, like connect with me on any of these social media channels. I'm here to talk to anyone about this. And also, just like John, first of all, John, thank you for founding International Recovery Day. This is amazing. I would love to collaborate with you and do some lives and stuff as well. But one of my passions in recovery is working with professionals. Like I said, I'm in the healthcare field, and it's my mission. Unfortunately, let me back up a little bit. 10 to 20% of people who die with alcohol use disorder or substance use disorder die without knowing anything about recovery. They die without going to detox treatment, any of these multiple ways of recovery. They don't know anything about it, and that is a shame. So it's my mission in life to speak to medical students, to nursing students, school guidance counselors, anything, or anyone who sees people that may suffer from alcoholism or alcohol use disorder or substance use disorder, and let them know how they can refer people into one of the many ways that people can get sober, stay sober, and really learn to thrive in life. So I will close with this, and I will end a little bit early, which I'm shocked about. Again, my drinking was my biggest secret, and now my recovery is my superpower. There's nothing I cannot do or get through in life without the support of my sober sisters. If you're in Miami, we have the most incredible group of women. So please reach out to me, connect with me. Love to get you involved, or if you have someone you know who might be suffering from drugs or alcohol, reach out. We definitely can help. So sharing the time. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks so much, Jackie. Great job. All right. Coming up next, we got Perry. Perry, let me bring you up here. Make sure you unmute yourself on your end as well.
Looks like I'm unmuted.
Perfect. All right, you got 6 minutes on the clock.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for what you're doing. You so much remind me, and our speakers before, that we discover in recovery that for a lot of us, we get to have this opportunity to do service and to love and to pay it forward and pass it on. I say that frequently, that that's sort of, I don't know, purpose in life has been to pay recovery forward. There's a saying, we stand on the shoulders of giants, those that came before us. And I've been fortunate in that I've been in the recovery world for a long time, going back to my parents getting sober when I was 10 years old. Both my parents outside of Washington, D.C. and in Maryland. And our family had 7 kids at the time, and we were getting ready to just explode into foster homes. And then my parents engaged in recovery. And both parents died sober. My dad had 50 years when he died, I guess 7, 8 years ago. And my mom died sober as well in Florida. And so my message is recovery is a process, and it's a family disease or disease, and it's a family recovery opportunity. I do a lot of genealogy. I sometimes call myself an accidental genealogist. Some years ago, I got into DNA. I found out my birth father when I was 25. And so that's a whole nother journey and story to share. But in doing the research, I can go back 6 or 7 generations that had mental health, addiction issues or criminal justice issues as well. And I'm part of 4 generations because of my parents getting in recovery in 1967, that I'm part of 4 generations in recovery. So this thing works. And when back 50 plus years ago, it was rare to see two family members in recovery, my perception and memories of that. But over the years, that has really changed a lot. And now it's very common. I was at a meeting a year or two ago, and more than half the people in the meeting were multi-generational recovery people, a mom, a dad, an uncle, a grandfather, a child. And so this thing works. It really does. I want to post this. This is what I looked like when I came into recovery. I was a rebel without a clue. Even though my parents were in recovery and I grew up going to Alateen, some people would say that was boot camp for later on, finding some rooms. But the fact of the matter was, I really was like a rebel without a clue. I do believe there's a genetic disposition to this. And so in prison, I went to prison for an $8 armed robbery. I got 8 years. I've been drinking and drugging 3 years. And I found out that prison actually saved my life in Maryland. And recovery, 12-step programs and counseling gave me a life. And that continues to evolve. I'm a bit of a creative person. I've done some documentary film stuff, done some photography and writings. And so, yeah, I see in the chat, somebody just said generational trauma is a real thing. Absolutely. I was doing a documentary 12 years ago called Shattering the Silence. I interviewed a lot of public figures and experts and regular folks. And it's just amazing, the whole thing, to learn about the ACEs study. That's the Adverse Childhood Experience Study. And it's just so cool to see more and more therapists and school systems and healthcare systems realize that the impact of, there's a book out that's real popular, The Body Keeps Score, of what trauma can do and particularly be passed down through the generations. I'm so reminded of this frequently in my travels. If I had a message to share, it would be, sometimes when I speak in treatment centers periodically here in Maryland, Delaware area, where I currently live. And I'm retired now, and I worked in the counseling field and had a college textbook business for decades. And so that message would be, if I can do it, you can do it. I was also somebody who got arrested as a teenager a couple times when I was trying to run away from home, but also I robbed churches. I was an altar boy at a church, and I got $700. This was back in 1971. And I knew, because of that experience, I had this belief system: if I ripped off God, then I'm going to hell. But then I heard in the recovery rooms, God doesn't make junk, and that God doesn't love you anymore, whether you're sober or you're not sober, or clean, or what have you, or in prison or not in prison. It just knows love. Totally radically changed my life. Continues to have a relationship to a higher power. Mindfulness practices is what I do that helped me quite a lot. So our time's winding down. So if you got anything out of that, I hope you're passing it on as well, like I'm doing right now. So blessings. And thanks for having us here, Thomas.
All right. Thanks so much, Perry. Appreciate it. Hey, I love seeing that picture of you from back in the day, man. You look like you were in a band or something, man. Awesome. Thank you, Perry. Let's see. I did have Christina here. I think she jumped out of the portal here. Chris, are you ready to go? Yeah, okay. Well, let's put you on there then. Let's see here. Let me switch you up here. And I'm going to put 6 minutes on the clock for you.
All right. So first off, I want to thank you, Thomas, for just having me be able to speak to the recovery community. It's a huge thing for me. I don't know if you can see a picture of me in my madness. I'm going to kind of off my other phone. So my name is Chris. I'm a woman in long-term recovery. I started my journey 5 years ago. I first I'm going to kind of give you a little bit rundown of like where my story begins at. I had a really traumatic childhood. My mom had Munchausen by proxy, so she did a lot of things to try to harm me. So I grew up in a very abusive relationship as a family relationship dynamic. My dad abused my mom real bad. I ended up getting put on pain pills when I was younger, and I had gotten into a motorcycle accident or a dirt bike accident, and I had my whole kneecap ripped off. So I started pain pills at a really young age. That was like the best experience for me because I just like felt like I could be who I thought I wanted to be, but I couldn't because I was always just like very out of my character. I ended up getting sober. Hold on.
Looks like we lost Chris. Let me see if we can get her back on. Well, while we're waiting for Chris, in the meantime, if you guys are on the live and you want to share your story, we have some slots here because a couple people did not show up. I am going to put the link in the chat there, and so all you got to do is click the link, put your name, and then it'll put you into the portal to come on next, and then you could share your story as well. I know we're waiting on a couple more people as well to jump in. Let me see. Still no Chris. All right. In the meantime, I'm gonna make some announcements while we wait on Chris. All right. Again, this is International Recovery Day. You can go on that website, and I believe you release some fireworks for people in recovery, right? Is that right? Go to internationalrecoveryday.org. If you haven't already followed us on social media, this is all our information, and you can follow us on Instagram right there, and then subscribes to us so you can keep track of all our events and you can see all our lives. And if you would like to make a donation, this is the link to make a donation. Everything that goes to this goes to support our mission of saving lives, harm reduction, overdose prevention, and outreach. Okay, let me see. We got Christina's on board. I don't see Chris though. All right, so Chris, I'll give you an opportunity to get back on. You could actually start where you left off. I'm gonna see if Christina or Sean is ready. I'm gonna pass it to Christina. Are you ready to go? How about Sean? Are you ready to go, Sean? There you are, Sean. I'm gonna put you in the main spot. I think you're on mute. Let me see if I can fix that here. There we go.
Yeah.
All right, brother. I'm gonna put the time on the clock, and I'll let you take over from there.
Okay. Okay. Hi, guys. My name is Sean. I am an alcoholic. First of all, let me just say, can you see me now? Oh, I look bad. Okay. First of all, Tommy, thank you for putting this together. Thank you for. I known Tommy for a while. I'm always supporting Tommy. I known y'all. I known Tommy for way too long. Like I know him longer than some of my family members, which is kind of crazy. Anyways, so I grew up in a normal childhood, normal life, and but I've always had anxiety in me. So I decided the best way to combat anxiety was was to drink. Oh, Tommy, I love you, son. Yes, I love myself too. Anyways, for me, I thought I never was gonna drink growing up, but as I got older, I found that drinking solved my anxiety, and and trying to find my, it took care of my anxiety. By the way, my friend Cody said he came me, what up, Cody? So anyway, I started to drink, and because of my drinking, it escalated fat, man. I'm talking about 1.5 years. I started to drink super fast, and eventually I've been to a couple of rehabs, and at one of the rehab I left. I stole a bottle of vodka up in Palm Beach, up up in West Palm at the Walgreens liquor store. Stole couple bottles of vodka, drank them all, passed out on my arm. It cut off it cut off circulation to the rest of the arm, and the muscle died, and I ended up losing my right arm, as you could see. And now the good of the picture that the other gentleman have, but this is my picture live. So, but I still did not believe I had a problem with addiction and I needed to get into recovery. I thought I was just a crazy college kid, but eventually I did find, like, after another round of drinking and ended up at rock bottom at Jackson Detox. I decided to go into treatment, and I stayed there for a couple of, I stayed in treatment for a couple months. I mean, I stayed in Alcoholics Anonymous for a couple of months. Had a slip because I did not go into the center, and okay, I'm getting distracted. I gotta zoom through this. But eventually, I got sober and stayed sober for almost 3 years. Then I had a situation that happened to me, and I didn't have a strong enough connection to God. Didn't have it strong in the program. I took back my self will, and I decided to drink again. And I would drink, end up in the hospital. Drink, end up in the hospital. And finally after my last time drinking here in Miami, Florida, Tommy remembered that day, I think. I was sent to Palm Beach County. There I got sober, but I did not get in the center of AA, and I isolated myself. And I thought I knew better than everyone else. I decided to leave my halfway house and go get an apartment all the way in downtown West Palm Beach on Clematis Street. And no, it wasn't an apartment. It was an Airbnb. And I got that thing for 6 weeks straight. And eventually I got to the point where I was like, you know what? I can't take it anymore. So on the 4th of July, I drink again. I relapse. And then I was sent back to the same treatment. My family sent me back to the same treatment. And on the first day there, I snuck out of that place. My plan was to get some money and then to go drink. But then I thought about something a good friend of mine said, and I decided to go back, get the help I needed, get the treatment, deal with all the struggles, and stay sober. I did the treatment, moved to a halfway, and finally I moved into an house down here in Miami, Florida. Chris, I saw that you were an outreach worker for Market Fatales, that also Market Fatale did the beds, and eventually, my life got better, and I met a bunch of great people along the way on my journey up in Palm Beach and Miami. And I'm very happy to take sober, and I'm gonna keep on coming back. Made it.
Thank you, Sean. Amazing. Right on point. I gotta give props to Sean. I know him for such a long time. I love that guy. He at the drop of a hat, he'll show up for anybody. He has a great heart, and I love that guy. I'll forever do anything for that guy. All right, we were on with Chris, and she lost connection. I want to bring her back on. And I'm gonna give you the full 6 minutes again. So you wherever you left off, if you want to continue from the beginning, all good. I'm gonna bring you up. Let's see. There you go.
All right,
Glad
hey
to have
guys,
you
I'm
back. Here we go.
Can you guys?
Ooh.
Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of like skip the whole problem part of my life, and I'm just gonna kind of go where my life started to gain some kind of meaning. I was released from federal prison, and I had no place to go. They kind of let me out of the jail, and when I got out of jail, I kind of didn't know where I was going to go. So I started making some phone calls. It was Friday. I'd walk 6 miles to go to the probation and parole office. And I've been making all these calls because my son was in foster care in Grayson, Kentucky, and I was in Missouri. So I'm calling all these places, and no treatment facility wanted to take me because, obviously I hadn't done any drugs. So like my first mind response was like, okay, well, I'm probably just go get high. That way I'll have some place to stay where I'll be close to my son. And, God had different means for me. I got a hold of this place called Oxford House. They gave me this interview, and I was thinking, man, this is freaking weird. Like, what are these people asking me all these questions for? But it turned out to be the most life-changing experience for me. They voted me in. I had to get on a Greyhound. I had no money. I had the shoes on my feet the jailer gave me from jail. They bought me a bus ticket. They bought me a bus ticket. I left Missouri to come to Ashland, Kentucky. They picked me up at 2:00 in the morning in Ashland, Kentucky, and brought me to my new home. I kind of walked in and I was like, man, this is weird. You know what I mean? Because it's like I'm all by myself. They kind of greeted me with some coffee, gave me my bed. My bed was made. Everything was like too good to be true, Ultimately, I got to my first house meeting and I kind of experienced what Oxford House was about. It was about accountability. It was about being called on my bullshit because I had a lot of it that I carried in the door. That place gave me a chance to grow. I got full custody of my son now. I ended up getting a job working for Pathways as a peer sports specialist. That gave me a really huge opportunity to grow in the recovery field where people actually thought I was important. I wasn't just working in, a restaurant waiting tables like I had done my whole life. I actually was important, and my recovery story was important to other people. Today, I actually am outreach worker for Oxford House, Northeastern Kentucky, Moorhead, Ashland, and Grayson area. I give back to the recovery community every day. Like just a little bit ago, I went back up to the place I used to work. I sponsor a few girls there. They're very important to me because that's part of my recovery journey. And I want them to be able to experience what I was able to experience, because the life before that I lived was a terrible life. I was one of them people that would kick your door in. I carried a pistol everywhere I went. I was just not a good person. I was very mad at the whole world because of the childhood that I had to experience, the abuse, the trauma. And I was able to heal in a wonderful place. I'm not from around here, so I was able to evolve in the recovery community in the area that I'm in. What I do for outreach is an amazing experience to build community partner relationships. I go to the treatment facilities and I share my story. I share what Oxford House has given me. I share what a program of action is able to give me. That's a beautiful thing in itself. just sharing that experience and being able to resonate with people and allow them to see that where they're at, they can continue to grow and to be, you know, the wonderful person that they can be in their recovery. Today, my life is full of joy. I have an amazing relationship. I was so used to unhealthy relationships that I thought that that's what a relationship was supposed to look like. And today I see that a relationship is a lot more than just abuse and control, trauma. I have a wonderful, wonderful support group in my recovery. I have an amazing sponsor. I have amazing friends. And I just love that I was able to hear Sean talk about Oxford House. That's just an amazing thing that we're able to reach so many people in so many areas. It's just a beautiful thing. I know that in Kentucky alone, we have 136 houses, and altogether we're trying to reach 4,000. So that's a huge number of people we're able to help. And I just, if anybody out there is looking for recovery housing, definitely reach out. You can go to oxfordvacancies.com and, get in the area that you're trying to get in and, just vibe with your recovery journey. But that's all I got. I'm super nervous, so I hope you guys just understand where I'm coming from, but I hope everybody has a wonderful evening.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Chris. Amazing. We love Oxford houses over here. They got a bunch of them over here in Miami now. They popped up literally from 1 year to the next, and they got a lot of men's houses and women's houses. So we got to give a shout out to Oxford House. All right, up next, I see Cheryl. Cheryl, I'm gonna bring you to the front here, and let me see. Make sure you unmute on your end, and I'm gonna give you 6 minutes. Can you? Let me see. I think you're on mute. Mm-hmm. And we lost your feed. It looks like it's frozen. I think you're on mute. We can see your feed now, but I think you're on mute. There's a mute on your end that you can adjust. It should be the microphone or the volume sound, volume logo. Nope, nothing yet. We'll come back to you. There is a volume and a microphone. I'm gonna come back to you after our next speaker. Let me see. Lady, are you ready? All right, I'm gonna bring you here. Thank you so much, lady, for joining us. I'm gonna give you 6 minutes on the clock, and I'm out of here. Let me see.
Thank you, Tommy, for allowing me to speak tonight. I'm sorry. I apologize. My eyes are puffy. I just came back from celebrating one of my coworkers' life. She passed away last month, and I was sober. It's a miracle because I used any excuse: weddings, funerals, bar mitzvahs, work, school. It didn't matter. And by a miracle of God, which I choose to call my higher power, I'm sober today. I'm a person in recovery. I haven't had a drink since September 1st, 2022. I celebrated this past Saturday 3 years. I was given my medallion by my best friend, and it was a beautiful experience. My life wasn't always that beautiful. And I say life, and I say that lightly because I was definitely not living. I had my first drink at 17. My 20s I used to say they were fun, but now thinking back, they were pretty much a blur. My 30s were chaotic. And when I finally decided to get sober and I recognized I had a problem, I was 40. And still then I didn't. I relapsed at 2 months into the program because I thought that I had that just because I was attending meetings and because I had a sponsor and because I was reading the big book and because I was checking off the boxes and I was great on paper. I've always been great on paper. I've always lied, manipulated my way into making myself look good in front of others. And I wasn't honest with myself. I came back into the program in September, recovery month. I didn't plan that. I wish I would have, but it just so happened to be that I finally got sober in September. And I know there's many pathways to recovery. I use many of them. I use Smart Recovery. I use Celebrate Recovery. And I feel that all those pathways that I decided to check them out, it planted a seed and it helped me to get to where I'm at right now. I decided to go into a meeting at FIU, which is a university here in Miami. I'm from Miami. And I went there and I felt very uncomfortable. My life, I've always felt very uncomfortable. I've always felt like the skin that I was in, I should have been in someone else's skin. I wasn't comfortable at all. My parents, my sister, they've never had a problem with alcohol. I didn't see that in my home. I feel like I was born this way, and it's something that has taken hard work. It's taking a lot of things from me, but now I see the losses and the scars as blessings because I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. And I feel like recovery, it's doable. It's something that I have to work on every single day. I do like to be honest, it's not something that's easy, but it is something that if you work hard for, like everything in life, you can achieve that. And the connection, I heard someone mention earlier that the connection is very important. I've never liked to connect to people because I've always been a fake person. I've always wanted to show something that I'm not. And being able to be part of a sober community and having that connection is something that has helped me tremendously. And I feel very blessed. I'm grateful. I have a different life now. I mean, I'm so lucky. And I'm actually living now. And I have so many blessings in my life. There's a job that I switched. I worked at for many years and I got a new job about a year ago, actually a year tomorrow, as a prevention specialist, where I have the opportunity and the privilege to speak to children in middle school and high school and talk to them about life training skills, about vaping, about drug misuse, about alcohol misuse. And I don't mention, obviously, that I'm a person in recovery because unfortunately there's still stigma out there. But I do talk to them about my life experiences. I mean, I was a middle school kid one time, I was a high school kid one time. And I feel like I'm able to connect with them with their troubles and whatever they are dealing with, and that's a blessing. I love my job. I mean, I see it as when I go to the schools, I don't go every single day, but the days that I go to the schools, I'm eager, I'm happy. I wake up in a good mood, sober, not hungover, which it says a whole lot. I drank for 23 years, so being clear-headed is something that I don't take for granted. And I was at the schools today. The kids, they love seeing me. They were like, "Miss Lady, we can't believe you're back. We love you." And it's beautiful. I have a healthy relationship, the first healthy relationship. I know someone mentioned it before as well, that I've been in. My parents, my sister, my friends, family, everyone is just so happy to see all the changes that I have made. But I think the most important thing is I'm happy with myself for the first time. I don't have to be fake, and I'm truly, truly happy. And if you're listening and you're struggling, please reach out. There's so many platforms to recovery, and I can give Thomas my information. If any women need any help, I'm always here to help. And that's it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, lady. Amazing story, and she continues to amaze me. All right, we're gonna give it another try for Cheryl. I'm gonna bring you up. Let's see if we can get this going. Let's see. I still can't hear you. Is there? If you tap the screen, there might be a way to unmute. No, still can't hear you. Nothing. No. All right. All right. All good. We tried. Thank you, Cheryl, for your service and coming up. All right. So since we got a couple minutes, you know what? I'm gonna jump in and join y'all in the mix here. I'm gonna put 6 minutes for myself, and I'll share a little bit about myself. Again, my name's Tommy. I'm a person in long-term recovery. For me, that means I haven't had a drink or a drug since September 12th of 2014. And I also celebrate in the month of September. Just celebrated 11 years on the 12th. And it is a blessing. It is such a blessing to be able to, uh, I mean, when I think of 11 years, it's so amazing that I got double digits. And um, I think I did the math the other day, and I've been sober longer than I was actively using. If you add all my sobriety time, my recovery time, the different times I had 3 years, I had 2 years, and now I have 11 years. And so I know I've been more in recovery than I've been in active addiction. And that's not natural for me. What's natural for me is trying to escape my reality. Starting when I was young, it was the anxiety and depression that I had, in school, in elementary, in middle school, in high school, and then to when I discovered the solution back then for me, which it worked in the beginning until it started creating more problems and more anxiety and more depression, right? Which initially was working, ended up making everything a million times worse. And consequences came very quickly for me, with the DUIs, with the multiple DUIs, with the lost jobs, the lost relationships. My thing was, I had suicide attempts and things of this nature that were my best thinking at the time, And when I think of things like that, I'm so blessed that I didn't succeed in any of those things because, I have so many things to be grateful for today. I have two kids, my daughter, 12 years old, my son, 9 years old. I would have never experienced any of this if I went through with that. And I got to go get into recovery and go back to school and get a couple degrees later on in life. Going to school to get my bachelor's and then my master's, and then working in a treatment center where I would do that for free. I do it for free on a regular basis a lot of times, but working in the treatment center, I forget the times that I'm actually the one facilitating the group. I got to remember, hey, no, I'm not the client this time. And it's such a blessing. And then being able to work in the field, not only in the treatment center, but also with folks and families and people that are finding recovery. But I think the best part about recovery, besides my experience, is seeing other people's experience, seeing other people recover and what they get to do with it. That is so amazing when I see people get their license back, when they get their kids back, when they get their um, they go back to school, they all these different things. Um, it's amazing to me. And then in starting this new organization and working in kind of a little different field, I'm seeing the grief of families of people that didn't get this chance, and I try not to never take it for granted, that I am blessed and lucky because I deal with so many families that have lost a loved one, um, and that there's no other chance for that. And so what we try to do is just to try to prevent that from happening. And if we could get education, if we could share about recovery and what we're doing today, and sharing that recovery is possible, no matter what. If the willingness meets the resources, magic happens, right? Magic happens, and it is such a miracle when I see somebody that struggled for so long finally get into recovery. It is amazing to me, and I see that on a regular basis. And sometimes I tend to not celebrate the people in recovery as much as I dwell on the people that we didn't get to get them into recovery, or the people that passed away. It's hard not to take those so hard, but I got to remember we do help a lot of people, right? What we're doing right now is helping a lot of people, and that's why it's so important to celebrate recovery even after September. Right, even after September, we celebrated all around, and I commend everybody that came in and shared their story and shared their recovery out loud, because we need people to know about this, right? We need people to know that this is possible. We need people to know that, we're not ashamed of this. We're not ashamed at all of being in recovery. And so I want to thank everybody that came out and shared their story, everybody that came in and shared this live. Please continue to share it. It's going to be available on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and you can share it as many times as you want. You could clip it up and do whatever you want with it, and share those stories. Let me see here. I am done a little bit early, and I just want to thank everybody again. If you are struggling, you're going through it, if you have a family member, you see at the bottom of the screen, you see our website, you see our email and our information for Instagram, right? If you want to talk to any one of the speakers, reach out to them. You can reach out to me, and I'll get you connected with them. I know for sure all of them would be happy to speak with anybody in an effort to help other people. Let me see really quick. Do want to share, last but not least, again, if you want to help support our mission, you could scan that QR code. It'll take you to where you can make a donation. Anything helps. If you want to see some of our other videos, you can subscribe on YouTube with that one. And then, of course, International Recovery Day, right? That's today. You could go to internationalrecoveryday.org and check that out. You can release some fireworks for your recovery day. And I think that's it. Thank you to John, to Jackie, to Perry, to Chris, to Sean, to Lady, to Cheryl. They should try to get on there. If I'm missing your name, shout out to you guys. I appreciate you guys. I'm going to let everybody back in here real quick, right? Whoever's still here, right? Guys, I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you so much. Recovery is possible, and you guys show it so much. Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, keep paying it forward.
That's right. Thank you, Tommy. Recovery is possible.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thank you, guys.